In 1972, Arnim Zola, the man who restored Hydra, was diagnosed with a terminal illness and died. But his consciousness survived, transferred into an advanced supercomputer where he would continue to serve Hydra for decades more. The organization soon became so powerful, they infiltrated foreign governments and international corporations and institutions, even attempting another super soldier program called the Centipede Project, which saw Hydra agent John Garrett experimenting with this technology as a means of building an army and restoring his own deteriorating health. In 2012, during the Battle of New York, which saw the Avengers defend Earth from an alien invasion, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson was killed. However, only a short time later, he returned to active duty, seemingly alive and well. John Garrett then took a special interest in Coulson and this new S.H.I.E.L.D. technology, believing it was a means to perfect his own super soldier serum. However, Hydra's long-term plans were interrupted in April of 2014, when Captain America and Black Widow discovered the supercomputer, which housed the consciousness of Arnim Zola, and learned that Hydra had continued to exist after the fall of Red Skull, infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. Having been discovered, Alexander Pierce, one of Hydra's highest-ranking infiltrators, attempted to hurry along the plans for Project Insight by launching 3 satellite-linked S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarriers into the air, programmed to eliminate Hydra's enemies by killing 20 million people around the world. However, Captain America and those still loyal to S.H.I.E.L.D. were able to stop their plans from being realized, killing Alexander Pierce and destroying the helicarriers. And while mass devastation was avoided, the war between Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. continued on, with Hydra agents all over the world now activated and told to kill their former S.H.I.E.L.D. colleagues and secure their locations in what came to be known as the Hydra Uprising. Meanwhile, as Phil Coulson and the remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. fought a civil war within their organization, Wolfgang von Strucker, Hydra's leader in Europe, continued his own work behind the scenes, unconcerned with the failures of past plans, as he continued to study the power of Loki's scepter, using it to experiment on humans. And while most died, twins Pietro and Wanda Maximoff survived and were left with unique and powerful abilities such as super speed and telekinesis. In America, Daniel Whitehall, longtime Hydra agent having served under Red Skull during the Second World War, had been released from prison by Alexander Pierce before his death, citing a medical dispensation due to Whitehall's old age. But in truth, Hydra wished him returned to continue his research into a device of alien origin known as the Obelisk and its connection to Inhumans. Whitehall led the American branch of the organization for a time, but was eventually killed by Phil Coulson, who had also defeated John Garrett and the Hydra faction within S.H.I.E.L.D. However, Whitehall and later S.H.I.E.L.D.'s investigation into the Obelisk led to the discovery that it was actually a diviner, built by the Kree thousands of years earlier and left behind after their experiments were shut down. Inside the diviner were Terrigen crystals, which emit a mist that can activate Inhuman genes. This then led to the discovery that Inhumans with incredible powers had existed in the world for many years, hidden away to ensure they could live their lives in peace without fear of persecution. With the fall of Whitehall and his organization, Hydra suffered a major setback, made worse when Wolfgang von Strucker was captured by the Avengers, defeating the last Red Skull-style leader of the organization. With the militaristic and more science-based faction of Hydra gone, the old leadership re-emerged, with the religiously motivated families of the ancient cult returning to prominence. One such leader was Gideon Malik, a man descended from a long line of Hydra cultists, who even participated in the centuries-old sacrificial lottery to determine who would enter the monolith and join the Hive on the other side. Malik then joined forces with Hydra agent Grant Ward, who led a team through the monolith with the intention of at long last returning the Hive to Earth. Yet Phil Coulson and his team learned of their plans and followed them through the portal. Coulson then managed to kill Grant Ward, but in doing so allowed the Hive to enter Grant Ward's body and use it to travel through the portal, finally returning home. And while the remnants of Hydra were eager to join their savior, who had at last returned to them, they soon learned that the Hive was only interested in making the world better for Inhumans, and so began to ignore Hydra operations in favor of developing technology to create more Inhumans as quickly as possible. As a result, S.H.I.E.L.D., in conjunction with the US military, were able to track down and eliminate the last of Hydra's global facilities and arrest or kill its members. Only 3 of Hydra's leadership managed to escape the attack, joining the Hive as he finalized his plans for world domination. As a reward for their faith in him and the role their families played in keeping the cult of Hydra alive for so many years, the Hive presented them with a serum he promised would make them inhuman, so they might join his revolution and live as gods in his new world order. However, the formula had not been perfected and killed all 3 participants almost instantly. S.H.I.E.L.D. then closed in on the Hive and used their own Inhuman allies to defeat him, with an Inhuman by the name of Lincoln Campbell trapping him aboard a Quinjet and piloting the ship into space, sacrificing himself to ensure the creature's death. Although Hydra was now utterly defeated, with even the families that founded and carried on its legacy destroyed, the threat they once posed faded, and new enemies emerged for S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers to confront. But the influence and significance of Hydra continued to be felt throughout the world, with many of its former agents forever remaining faithful to the fallen organization, such as Vasily Karpov, a retired Hydra scientist who was captured and tortured by Helmut Zemo for information, but refused to cooperate, instead reaffirming his loyalty with his final words, "Hail, Hydra." A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Nantine the Blackburn, a widow of the Stranger's Blade, the great Joff Bardsbane of the Legion of the Lakes, Tom Moonstruck Waters of the Company of the Cat, Wolf the Quarrelsome, Magic the Shaman, and Jampo the Mad. You all make these videos possible, and I am eternally grateful for your support. If you would like to help CivilizationEx and gain early access to videos, access to the Patreon-only series Heroes of Lore and Legend, and vote on future content to be produced, you can click on the Patreon link in the description box below and pledge any amount you'd like on a monthly basis. Or if you'd prefer to make a single donation, you can use the PayPal link also in the description below. And please be sure to like and subscribe and click on the links to see more.